Welcome everyone to the monthly check-in for June. It's really nice to see everyone. And I've got a lot I want to go through today. My name is Aruna and I'm the lead trainer at Young Yoga Masters. And I've been doing yoga for a long time. I've been teaching kids for a long time. Funny enough, this morning I was looking at planning my blog posts and newsletters for the summer. And I saw that my first blog post was in 2007 that I started writing about kids yoga. And then I was, oh my gosh, that's already 15 years of just blogging about teaching kids yoga. Here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about kids yoga summer camp activities. And for the breakout room discussion, we're going to talk about what kids yoga summer camp formats and pricing have you seen offered. If you're thinking of offering a camp, there's all kinds of different formats, so hopefully you'll be inspired. Today, our topic is enhance your camps, kids yoga activities that some are some of my favorites, and probably what makes them my favorites are that they're activities that it takes a lot more time to do. So it's hard to do them in a 1 hour class. And usually that's what makes them my favorite for a camp. So it's a nice opportunity to do things you can't do typically in a class. And so I would say this is number one on the list, but I don't know if it's number one on my all-time number one, is doing chakras for children. I thought I'd share just a little format. Like if you're doing chakras for children, you could do it over a series of 7 or 8 or 9 classes even. But here's how I would do it in a camp if I was doing chakras. Number one, I would do it in a yoga studio kind of territory. That's because if you're doing it in a school or a daycare, chakras may be a little too esoteric, or some people might mistake it for some kind of religious teaching. And you just don't want to have any problems in that department. So I really recommend this to do, like if you're doing a private camp or doing it on your own in a park or in a studio or in your basement, whatever you're doing. I would start with Monday. What are chakras? And if you look back on the April 2022, you'll see there is a mini lesson plan for the chakras there. I have it here, the wheels lesson plan. So that's back in Monday. And then you can also, this little coloring page is also available free on my website. It says very faintly chakras for the chakra system. So you could use this coloring page as well. For those who have taken the training, this is all part of the chakras for children activity workbooks. So for those who have already taken the training, just a reminder that there are in the training, this is the paid training, there is a whole workbook with chakras for activity pages for each chakra that you can do with the kids. So what I would do is on Monday, I would introduce what is the concept of the chakras. And then Tuesday, I would do the lower triangle of chakras. So the first, second, third chakra I learned was called the lower triangle. They do kind of form a little triangle with the wide part of the triangle at the base. And then the kind of mirroring point of the lower triangle and the upper triangle of chakras is at the heart center. So that kind of makes it a nice one-day activity, is to talk about the heart center. You can work in all kinds of social emotional learning and empathy lessons into that one lesson plan. So that could be Wednesday. On Thursday, you could do the upper triangle of chakras. So the fifth at the throat, the sixth and the seventh, which kind of form, I don't know if you're familiar with the chakras. So the lower triangle looks like this with the base at the bottom, and then the heart, and then the upper triangle looks like this with the throat and the sixth and the seventh with the flat part of the triangle at the top. They kind of mirror each other, and that would be an interesting thing to explore, how the chakras interconnect with each other as well, like which one might that mirror with. And then Friday, you could do your chakras as talents. Like, so each chakra is a talent that you can use in your life, and how will you use them? And for those who have the workbooks, you could, maybe do some of the questionnaires that haven't been done yet, or you can just ask the kids to reflect on which of the talents that are associated with the chakras do you want to have more of in your life, or do you want to practice? I've been practicing ukulele during COVID, and it's really something you have to practice to get good at. There's no shortcut around it. You can't learn finger picking unless you practice it. So the same is true with a lot of the emotional components of the chakras as well. Has anyone taught the chakras for children? Just curious. Maybe you can write in the chat, or if you want to, you can unmute. Oh, Faye?
Yeah, I did a long time ago before COVID, and it was one of my first classes, and I found it hard. And I was doing one of the lesson plans that was about what they wore that day and so they come in certain colors. I think it was that. Mm-hmm. But it got kind of lost, because I think after I went to the training about the wheel, and I think that was a better place to start, because they were young and it just seemed to be a really difficult concept to explain. I was trying to explain it. So, and that is what I'm going to do on the week of camp that I'm doing in the summer, is the chakras. I'm going to try again to break it down, and, like I say, have more time. Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard thing to explain, especially if you have a range of kids, like from 5-year-olds up to 8 and 9. It's very different how they interpret it, I think.
Mm-hmm. And actually, that reminds me of something I wanted to do for each of these activities. Is I wanted people to write in the chat to connect with what you already know. What age range would you teach chakras with? So let's see what people write in the chat. What age range would you teach chakras with? Brittany, did you want to add anything? Is that why you popped in, or are you just joining us?
Yeah. Okay. Hi. I have done for the pages from the chakra, the chapter that we did in the training. I didn't go super in depth, but just like, the colors, and then there was the animals on there, and then through the poses. And then it was more so like a rainbow themed class that I was doing. So yeah, that's how I've used it. And I would say like probably 8 years to really start kind of like understanding would be like the youngest that I would go like more in depth with it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Unless you just did something like really basic, like rainbows.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. I don't see any chats yet, but if you want to add something to the chat, let me know. But I'm going to keep going on because we have 5 things to get through. Okay. Oh, Rosemary's saying, you need to know your children. If doing younger ages, I suggest 7. Yeah. So 7-year-olds, depending on the kids. Okay. Number 2, Mandala activities. These are activities that take a while. And I have a sample. You can see these are mandala stamps that we did. This is, funny enough, also from the Chakras for Children 4-hour training. I don't know. I didn't plan it that way but it just worked out. So I happen to have a sample here. So here's a little mandala stamping activity. Oh, good. I like that people are already writing in what age would you do this with. So what that basically entails is some big paper, some stamps. I have actually even done it when I had a really large group with tempera paint, some stamp pads and some stamps. I try to have a few different sizes. I actually have a whole box of them, and I put them out on like some little paper plates so that you're trying to avoid kids using the same stamp in every color, or else you just end up with like everything kind of brownish, purpley black, which could be nice, but you may want to have different colors too. So the secret, I think, to do the mandala stamping, and one of my colleagues who I used to work with, she's like, I tried this at home, and my mandala turned out like a oblique kind of shape, like what's that word? The like the kind of like a big blob, And the secret to doing these stamping is, I think, very similar to why we meditate. And that is that you start in the center and then you do concentric circles going out from the center. And if you start in the from the outside trying to like make a circle, or if you go out in a sphere or something, it seems to be a lot harder to make it look kind of pretty like the way a mandala does. So just like with meditation, I think the whole idea is, and this is what my meditation teacher used to say to us, is like you meditate to check in with yourself. And my meditation teacher would always say, like, if you want to love yourself, the way you do that is to know yourself. When you know someone truly deeply, even all their faults and all their the great things you love about them, but also the things that drive you crazy about them, that is really what love is, right? We get to know ourselves that way by meditating, and we get to observe our thoughts, and we get to be kind to ourselves, and we kind of see what thoughts keep popping back into our head, and we don't try to pretend that they're not happening. We actually allow the thoughts to happen, especially in a mindfulness practice. You can allow that thought. So by doing that, you know yourself. And then you practice trying to release the thought as much as possible. And sometimes you might need help releasing those thoughts. So sometimes meditation is not enough for everybody. A lot of us have accompanied our meditation practice with therapy or other things when we've really allowed ourselves to experience those things. And that is really how we love ourselves. So we start in the center, and then from there, we create our vision for our life based on what we want to achieve in our life and what we can do. Whereas if you're always trying to create your life from what other people are telling you to be, that is a very difficult existence, because it's really hard to please everybody, isn't it? So we're trying to create a mandala just like this one. So from the inside out. And so I love just tying in that activity. And then from this activity, then we can fit in the yoga by making group mandalas with our bodies. These are very cool. So if you've never done these, I even have a Pinterest board with group yoga poses on them that you can look up. But there's a lot of fun activities you can do. So this activity takes a little while longer. You could do all of it in even like a 2-hour camp or a 3-hour camp. So a camp doesn't always have to be like multiple days. It could just be like almost like a workshop, I guess you could call it. But you could just call it yoga camp on Friday afternoon or something. That way you can take time with the stamping so that the kids don't feel rushed. Like it's always really hard when I taught children and we did any type of craft or coloring. If I didn't have at least like 10 minutes to do it, I wouldn't do it, because there's nothing worse than like giving out all the crayons and then like 5 minutes later it's like, okay, I gotta collect all the crayons, and everyone's like, oh, we just got started, right? So so it's nice to be able to take like half an hour to do stamping, and they can stamp a mandala, and then maybe they can just stamp their own picture the way they want it. Like there's nothing funner than stamping a piece of paper. Okay, so did anyone write in the chat which age they thought? Oh, I should ask people, maybe just write mandalas, just write the activity before, so it'll help me remember which activity we're talking about. So Faye, were you thinking 7 or 8 for the mandala stamping? Yeah.
Oh, no, 7 or 8 for the chakras.
Chakras, okay.
But for mandala, I've done it as young as like 4, and they've enjoyed it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I've done this with adults. When I've done yoga retreats with adults. So Brittany's saying 5 plus just again, if you're doing like a younger age, just, lower the bar of what you expect it will look like, and also make sure that your paint is washable or your ink things are washable. Okay, let's see. What is number 3? Oh, yeah, I love this one. This is called My Song. You can do it for a full day, Monday to Friday camp, and you can do it throughout the day. And the activity is that you ask the children to tell you a song that is meaningful for them. And then throughout the camp, you have these little music rest breaks, and each child will say their song, and they'll talk about why they like that song, and then everyone will listen to the song. Now, this is when I started doing it. I actually had an iPad. I think they just retired them like last month, right? Now there's Spotify. So one tip I have for you is, if you learn some good songs from the children in your class, just to put them on a playlist so that you can be a little bit more hip in the other classes you teach, because I don't really listen to pop music very often. So that's where I find out the songs that are happening from the children that I'm teaching. And just generally, I use a lot of playlists when I teach my classes. So like I like to sort it by the mood on Spotify, for instance. Like I have all the playlists for the songs on Spotify, for rather not the songs, the modules of our training. But when I'm teaching classes, I'll have like relaxing songs or warm-up songs or songs with the moves built right into them, so that then when the time comes, like, okay, we're ready to relax, and I can just go to the relaxing songs playlist and find the song I'm looking for. So what I wanted to say about this activity was, I actually did this when I was in high school. With one of my teachers did it with our class, and I still remember people's songs to this day. And it was really a nice way for us to get to know each other in the class. And plus the music, of course, we were all picking, like my song was a Rush song. But people were picking all these really pop songs, and so not only did it expose us to different types of genres of music that we might not have listened to, it also gave everyone a way to talk about something that was meaningful to them without it being too risky, because the song's already cool, so you get to share something that's already cool. That song, My Song activity, what age would you do that with? Get all the tips to enhance your camps and hear from other participants about what they're charging for their summer camps this year at youngyogamasters.com. Look under the menu for free resources, look for the free monthly check-in, and you'll be able to watch the replay from this month and from other months, and get some great tools and resources to teach yoga and mindfulness to children. That's youngyogamasters.com.